The time may actually be here. We may actually be getting a Kanye West album when we expect to get a Kanye West album. Now, if you've been listening to Kanye West music for a long time, you know these things have happened before. He's promised records, promised albums, even on certain release dates, and they have not come, and he said nothing about them. Yandi, where'd that go? Donda, we finally getting it like a year later. I'll tell you why I actually think it's gonna be released in the next few days at the end of the video, but for right now, what I expect. What is it that I want from a new Kanye West album in 2021, post-pandemic, post-Jesus is King, post-Kanye divorce? What do I want? I want Kanye West to intermingle his faith with his humanity. And that was the biggest thing. That was my biggest issue with Jesus is King. Y'all know that. I went really hard on that record because I felt like it was living in this false sense of divinity, completely undermining and not even acknowledging the human portion of who Kanye may be as a person. So for Donda, I guess I just want the struggle Ye back, peer into the life of a Kanye West that doesn't necessarily have a plan and is confused and is kind of transparent about those confusions, transparent about that pain without necessarily trying to glamorize it or cover it up or just simply say God got me or God's gonna fix it. And not saying that he has to talk about these things, but it would 100% make his job easier, and it would definitely make people empathize with him much more if he just peered into who he was as a human a bit more, as opposed to almost a prophet for God. I know it's more of a conservative stance surrounding vaccines and the pandemic, but I'm curious to know how the quarantine affected Ye. I feel like we might get information on all of that with this new record. So just to put it simply, I don't want a biblical figure from this Kanye West album. I just want Kanye West most recently. What's been making Kanye West tick, get up in the morning, the human part of Ye. That's what I would like this album to be. Now I just kind of wanted to get into what I know about the record. There is an ad that confirms that Donda is coming out this Friday. This ad features Sha'Carri Richardson, many of whom you may know from her ridiculous accomplishments in track and field, pretty much dusting her competition in the women's US 100-meter dash. Now, she was headed to the Olympics. I think this was in Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. And she just had an uphill trajectory. Unfortunately, she was barred from competing in the Olympics due to marijuana being found in her test results. Now, the thing that I found most interesting about this is the correlation between Sha'Carri and Kanye, both having lost their mothers. One of the reasons Sha'Carri cited for why she was even using marijuana in the first place was kind of to cope with the loss of her mother. And I know there are going to be tons of people that are going to say Kanye's probably using a young black athlete to cover up all his previous Trump agenda nonsense, but as cynical as my brain tends to be, I don't think that's the case here. I think there are far too many parallels between Sha'Carri and Kanye when it comes to speaking about the loss of a parent, loss of a mother specifically, for me to think this is a move to pander. What Sha'Carri says in reference to the death of her mother is, "It sent me into a state of emotional panic," adding, "I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time." And I know some may say, oh, well, Sha'Carri's in her 20s and Ye is in his 40s. I mean, how can you compare their reaction to death when they, are 20 years apart? And the point is to say that even if you lost your mother 2 months ago versus 20 years ago, that pain may very well still feel like a fresh wound. So the exact way she's saying she feels now could be the exact way that Ye still feels to this day. I know when I look at this cover art, which to me looks like it's so drenched in pain. These red strokes just come off the back of a gray, lifeless background. It just makes me think of an open wound walking aimlessly in limbo. It looks like an entire body that just aches. There's no happy, there's no sad, you're just gray. You don't really know how to go on. There's just nothing pushing you. And then you look at who did the cover, a French painter named Louise Bourgeois, someone who essentially was putting together pieces illustrating the pain and the trauma that was associated with her losing her mother at a young age and having to cope and deal with the stress and the agony that the rest of her life would take her through in reference to that. I mean, just looking through her spider sculptures and her spider drawings, it was clear, at least to me, I may be misinterpreting it, but it was clear to me that this is someone who wanted to be protected. And without that mother, you kind of felt that lack of protection around you. So these things, to me, put Ye in a space where he's got nothing to do but face his reality. Not necessarily just giving all your issues and problems to God, but actually facing them yourself and talking about it. And I feel like we might be able to get that with this record. I've always kind of wanted to know more about how he's felt long term about the loss of his mother, dealing with a bunch of mental diagnosis, having to struggle with opioids, and if that opioid addiction at any point had more to do with the loss of his mother and him using it to cope, as opposed to him being prescribed it by a doctor and it being used for his diagnosis. Now, in that advertisement that features Sha'Carri, you have a snippet that sounds fantastic. I don't know. I don't think that's Ye rapping in the beginning. It almost reminded me of Post Malone or maybe Ty Dolla $ign. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but that sounded great. And then we get Ye singing beautifully. No, everything perfect. And it's been stuck in my head ever since I heard it, but that is beautiful. We may be getting a gospel soul rap fusion, and I think that's great. I don't want Jesus is King to be against Kanye, permanently barring him from attempting gospel music ever again. He's done it well in the past with Ultra Light Beam, Jesus Walks, Father Stretch My Hands, and expounded on topics that have biblical undertone or common human struggle that far exceed the rushed, half-baked ideas of his most recent album. You know that he's done miracles on me. Oh, bruh. Ye and Tyler were in the studio, and I know how soulful and beautifully crafted Tyler, the creator's most recent record was. If he had any advice for Kanye, I want it to be that attention to detail. I'm not saying that Tyler can son Ye, but just to remind him, if anything, I would say Ye is probably inspired by what Tyler, the creator, put out. You know, Justin LeBoy co-signed it, but that ain't really saying shit. It's just meaning that, you know, another person who has some sort of influence heard the record, and that tells me, yes, there is an album in existence. Yes, it's finished if Ye is playing it for niggas. I've been seeing Lucy here, Lucy there, snippet here, snippet here. Ye's finally posting on Instagram. Playboy Cardi got this man wildin'. Ye looked like he about to hit a lick. I don't know where Jesus comes into that equation, but he did say that you could steal from the rich and give to the poor. Maybe that's what he's about to do. I've heard that the feature list is stacked. We got possibly my guy Baby Keem. I actually definitely heard him on one of the snippets. Lil Baby, I hope I get him on one of these snippets. Cardi, Travis Scott, Ty Dolla $ign, definitely Pusha T. And from the track list that I saw in the background of that Ye and Tyler video, it looks like we might be limiting ourselves to just 10 tracks, which will make this one of the best projects to listen to because it's not overly extended. It probably gave him just enough time to work on each record, and I'm thinking that this might actually be something. It might actually be a great record. Everything is looking for this to be a good record. We didn't get Yandhi, okay? We didn't get what Donda was supposed to be in the beginning, but I'm hoping that this is gonna be a great record. The setup is looking really nice. I'm gonna say that the setup looks beautiful, and I'm excited. I'm excited to hear a new Kanye West record in 2021. It wasn't in my most anticipated because I definitely didn't think we were getting one this year, but I'm ready. Praise God.